So apparently there's a war on Mother's Day. You've heard about the war on Christmas, but apparently there's a war on Mother's Day and Father's Day. I'm John F. Gately. Let's get into it. So let's see if we can bring this up here on the screen. All credit to AZ Informer, Arizona Informer, who put together this thread on Twitter about major corporations allowing people to opt out of Mother's Day email, including Kay Jewelers, Hallmark, Kroger, Levi's. A lot of these companies saying things like, we know Mother's Day and Father's Day can be sensitive times for some. If you'd like to opt out of our emails and push notifications for the holidays, please tap below. We know Mother's Day can be a challenging time, which is why we want you to know if you'd rather not receive Mother's Day emails. So this is actually not a new thing this year. It started over the pandemic, and apparently it gained steam. So now major corporations are basically saying, hey, if you don't want to be reminded about Mother's Day or Father's Day, by the way, kids, don't forget, Father's Day is June 18th, to my two kids. If you don't want, not that they watch, and I thank you for watching, but if you don't want to watch, if you don't want to get these emails, you can opt out because you might be triggered by Mother's Day. It's just absolutely ridiculous. We're going to go back to some more of those examples in a minute. But before we do that, I just wondered if it might be, oh, come on, Daily Mail. It might be linked to this story, which I read in the Daily Mail. The rise of dinks, dual income, no kids. Meet the young couples shunning babies so they can afford luxury vacations to Bora Bora and splurges at Costco. Young couples are taking to TikTok to boast of their infant-free lifestyle. Oh, that's really annoying. Thank you, Daily Mail. We'll just X out of that. You get the idea. And when I saw that, I remembered that what's going on here, and it's a kind of like a George Orwell 1984 thing that's in 1984, the Junior Anti-Sex League. In George Orwell's novel, 1984, there it is, an organization of young people that advocated for complete celibacy. Now, I don't think these dinks, the dual income heterosexuals, I don't think they're avoiding sex, but they're avoiding the natural outcome of that, obviously. The party intends to abolish the institution of the family. Oh, now we're getting closer to the point. So all children will be products of artificial insemination and grow up in public institutions. I think the first part of that is much more important. The party intends to abolish the institution of the family. The institution of the family. I think that's a little bit, kind of headed where we're going here. Rather to be raised by the state than be raised by families, right? Heaven forbid you're raised by a family. Even, let's see if we bring it up here, even Ancestry. Ancestry.com. Arizona Informer, by the way. All credit to AZ Informer at Twitter. AZ Informer at Twitter. Ironically, Ancestry, too. We realize that for some, Mother's Day may be a tough time. You know what? I also realize that Mother's Day might be. It's kind of, my mother passed away several years ago, but it's still like you can't live pain-free. And I feel some pain on Mother's Day. But, I mean, that's what it is to be alive, right? And through that pain, you have an appreciation for what she went through. My mother got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma when I was the smallest little kid in approximately 1970. Right, that's a really serious type of cancer. It's a type of cancer you don't want to know. And to survive it in the 70s was unheard of. And she lived 30 plus years after that. God bless her. You've never met anybody mentally tougher. 107 pounds soaking wet. This woman was tough as nails. And, I remember so much of that kind of like, lived through it with her as I grow up. And as I get older, I still feel on Mother's Day like you miss your mom, right? But then you start to appreciate, right? Through that pain of loss, you appreciate her and have the fond memories that I do, and I hope that you do as well. But we cannot live lives of no pain. If we live a life of no pain, then you're just entertaining yourself constantly, and where does that really get you, right? And I think there's many people that have expressed this much more eloquently than I have, but you get what I'm saying. If you'd prefer not to receive emails about the 2023 Mother's Day sale, you can opt out below. Well, isn't that nice, Ancestry? Of all companies, Ancestry, for whom there are no people without Mother's Day, you can, talk about the irony. MA Cosmetics, whoever they are, Milk and Honey Spa, some of these brands I'm not familiar with. Stitch Fix. As Mother's Day approaches, we understand it can be an emotional time for many. Notice how these emails are very short, because if you kind of get into it a little bit more, as a marketing person, you might piss people off. So all of these are very, very short. Again, all the credit to AZ Informer for putting this together. This was a trend that started, again, during the pandemic, about 2021. This is interesting. Here is a Washington Post reporter essentially fueling the opt-out of Mother's Day narrative just yesterday. Megan McArdle, how is it that I lock myself in a closet and whisper the word wedding? I will be inundated with ads for wedding dresses and cutlery. But apparently none of the social media sites can figure out how to not show me ads for Mother's Day gifts 3 weeks after my mother died. I'm really sorry that happened about your mom, Megan. But the computers, thank God, are not all-knowing yet, right? I'm sure they're working on it. Literally, bye-bye, baby. Though Mother's Day is a time to celebrate all the moms in our lives, we understand that for some it can be a really hard day. And again, through that pain, baby counter, they even opt out. There's just so many of them here. Etsy, you can opt out on Etsy for the emails. It's absolutely ridiculous. PR News, opting out of Mother's Day, a step forward in inclusive marketing. So what's clearly happening is some of these big companies are losing all over. They're having people opt out of all of their emails. And so what they decided to do was to send an email and say, hey, if you don't want Mother's Day, you can opt out. Or if you don't want Father's Day, you can opt out. And they did that because there was probably some study that noticed that there was a spike in unsubscribes around those holidays. And so the marketing people said, whoa, how do we solve this problem? Because we want to be able to email them all year, but if they don't like this one, and so they're trying to solve that problem. So, from that honesty point of view, I get that. But I think there's something bigger going on in society when people are actually horrified by Mother's Day. Oh, I'm so triggered, I can't have an email. You've got to, or it's just ridiculous. Or the same thing with Christmas and Father's Day, right? Why are we so babies? Why are so many Americans like they're going to get an email, it's going to ruin their day? That's absolutely ridiculous. Here we are from PR News. Opting out, as we said, opting out. Mother's Day can be a joyous occasion. Many brands take the opportunity to connect with customers with sales, giveaways, and events. However, some people have acknowledged the hardships and painful memories surrounding Mother's Day. For those of you who lost a loved one, suffered a miscarriage, well, why don't they just kind of really remind you? An experienced a tragedy, constant bombardment of Mother's Day ads stirs complicated feelings. Maybe there's something wrong with your overall email and brand strategy that your clientele is deciding to opt out of your overall emails because they get one email about a holiday. Let me say that again. Maybe there's something wrong with your overall brand strategy if your clients, customers, subscribers to your email are choosing to unsubscribe because they get one triggering Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas email. Or maybe there's something even bigger wrong with the society. Yeah, that might be the case, right? That might be the case. Well, all right, so the rant is over. I'm not unsubscribing to any Mother's Days or Father's Days email. Mother's Day is next month. I'm looking forward to it for my wife. And then, of course, June is Father's Day, June 18th. Don't forget, kids. And this year, you definitely don't want to unsubscribe because they're going to have to change their gift strategy when it comes to me. As I shared with you a couple weeks ago, I now have diabetes, so I can't get the typical gift that I usually. Very often they would give me like a box of chocolate, which I very much appreciated, but now they're going to have to go with something else. I don't know, but they're going to have to put a little bit more work into it than they have in previous years. So I'm John F. Gately from Plymouth, America's hometown, where we also love Thanksgiving. Who wants to opt out of a Thanksgiving email? It's just ridiculous. In Massachusetts. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.